What's the best way to mentally prepare yourself for a big game? Hi, I'm Dr. Patrick Cohn with Carolyne Lawley, one of our mental performance coaches at peaksports.com. We're talking basketball today in particular, and we're going to talk about mental preparation. You're watching the Sports Psychology Podcast. Carolyne, most ball players that we work with, they come in and they don't really have a routine. They don't know how to mentally prepare. So really, in essence, they're not taking full advantage of their minds. What's going on?
Yeah, I think the mental side and preparation for basketball is very underutilized. A lot of the times nerves are going and athletes will read that as I am not prepared or I'm not ready for this, instead of really honing in on those nerves and understanding that that's your body way of saying that it's ready to play and it's energized and ready to go. So really being able to have a set routine, even if it's only 5 or 10 minutes, is really important to prepare.
Yeah, even beyond managing the nerves, I think just getting dialed in and getting focused, getting up, getting your intensity up and getting focused, I think is an error that many ball players make. Or not taking full control of their confidence, not being proactive with their confidence, for example, or thinking about stuff from school that they were just working on, or relationships. In other words, taking stuff from their life into the game, and then thus they're distracted that way and not fully focused. What are other ways that basketball players maybe are not being proactive with their mental preparation?
I think, like you were saying, there's an importance in transitioning from your other roles, such as student or friend, and transitioning into that athletic role when it's time to compete. And I think a lot of athletes don't focus on that. So spending that time before a game, preparing mentally, potentially using some imagery or visualization to prep themselves and what they want to do during competition is important in that transition from your outside roles to that athlete role.
What's the bottom line when you're not fully prepared and you step on the court? What's that going to turn into for basketball players?
I think you're leaving a lot of your performance up to chance. I think you're stepping on the court just hoping that you're going to perform well and not really feeding into that proactive confidence like you mentioned. You're leaving that up to what we call reactive confidence, waiting to see if you hit a shot, waiting to see if you make a good play. And if not, generally that confidence will go down a bit because you haven't prepared yourself properly before the game.
What do you think some of the top NBA players, WNBA players, or even college players do to get clicked in and get mentally prepared? What do they do to help them bring their game?
I think first they understand at what level they need to be at in terms of energy. So some athletes like to calm down by maybe listening to some relaxing music, and others need to pump themselves up a little bit, which could also be done through music. Some athletes like to have a nap as part of their pre-performance routine, whereas other athletes, that's not something that they would want to add. So I think just having a very specific and set routine before a game is really what is going to be important, because you're going to allow yourself to have a similar environment before each game, and you can really lean on that to prepare mentally.
Well, in this routine, is this during the team warm-up or is this another time?
I would suggest before you step out on the court. Obviously, you can have some type of maybe more physical warm-up where you're implementing some mental preparation, but take some time before you actually get out on the court to start that mental preparation.
Okay, so you mentioned the transition from life to the game. What are some of the other skills that players need to be mindful of?
I think utilizing some breathing techniques if you do struggle with nerves, because a lot of basketball players do. So using something like box breathing or some mindfulness breathing techniques may also be beneficial in getting yourself more focused, but also helping to bring those nerves down if they feel too heightened.
I would think confidence is a big part of it too. When you step on the court, you have a high level of confidence. You talked about the reactive confidence versus proactive. How do you get athletes into that proactive state?
A really important part is to reflect back on some of your past successes. We often refer to that as a confidence resume, but having a short list of things that you are really confident in about your game, and going back over those before your performance to kind of bring that confidence and develop some proactive and stable confidence, I think is important.
Great. We've been talking with Carolyne Lawley of Peak Performance Sports. She's one of our mental performance coaches there. If you want more information, jump over to peaksports.com where you can read our articles, watch videos, and learn more about the one-on-one coaching. Thanks.